Did you know that you could only get pregnant during 6 days during every cycle? And that's if you ovulate regularly. So I want to make sure that you can pinpoint that fertile window to make your chances of conception much, much higher every cycle. In this Fertility TV episode, you're going to learn the best days to have intercourse to get pregnant and one of my favorite tools that you can start to use to pinpoint those days and your fertile window. My name is Dr. Marc Sklar, also known as the fertility expert, and welcome to Fertility TV, your YouTube channel dedicated to helping you get pregnant. I've been working with couples for over 18 years through my online coaching programs and at both of my clinics right here in San Diego. And this topic of pinpointing your fertile window, when to maximize intercourse so that you can get pregnant fast, is a conversation that I have on a daily basis, if not multiple times in a day. And that's why I'm bringing this information to you in this episode of Fertility TV. Okay, so before I dive into this topic and really give you tons of useful, practical information, I want to hear from all of you. How many of you actually know when you're ovulating, know when your fertile window is, and how many of you are able to actually time intercourse in that window? So I want to hear, comment below and let me know. It's really important that you understand where your fertile window is and where you're ovulating, because this allows you to maximize your opportunities for conception. But I also don't want you just having intercourse in that fertile window, because that fertile window at most is about 7 days. And when you ovulate is even a smaller window than that. So if that's the only time you're having intercourse, that's not really ideal for a happy and healthy relationship. So I do want to encourage you all to have intercourse outside of this fertile window as well, because research has actually demonstrated that if you have regular intercourse throughout your entire cycle, even outside of your fertile window, you increase your chances of conception and getting pregnant. So that's really what we want to do, but we do want to discuss the fertile window and optimizing your best time for conception, which is what I'm going to do in this video right now. So often I speak to so many of you or get questions from so many of you about when are you ovulating? How do I know when I'm ovulating? How do I know when to time intercourse and put it all together? And I know this might seem like basic information and basic question to be addressing in this video, but the reality is so many of you don't know, and that's because you're not taught the right information when you're younger, and we have this misconception that we can get pregnant anytime during the cycle, and that's not really the case. So in a regular 28-day cycle, and as I'm going to summarize this right now, I just want to remind you all, I do have many videos on this topic going much more in detail on what a regular cycle is and what's going on with hormonal shifts. You can check those out by using the links in the description below. But a regular cycle theoretically is going to be somewhere between 28 and 30 days. And if you have a regular cycle, okay, and if all of your hormones are balanced properly, then what will happen is that your ovulation will happen in the middle of that window. And that's roughly going to be around day 13, 14, or 15 in your cycle, maybe even as long as day 16. But you don't know for sure unless you are tracking your cycle and learn what your body is doing. And that's one of the most important things, is to understand what your body is doing, not what the textbook says or what the general information is shared, or even what the information is that I'm sharing with you, because you need to understand what your body is doing. And so I want to give you the tools in this video to gather that information and to be able to make the best choices when it comes to intercourse, and with regards to your fertile window. So that's why I'm sharing this information, because you've got to figure it out for yourself and understand what is the best time for you and what is your fertile window. So your hormones are changing throughout the entire cycle. okay? And your LH, luteinizing hormone, which is the hormone that actually increases and jolts higher when it's time to release the egg and ovulate, is actually lower in the first half of the cycle. And follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, the one we're all concerned about and testing regularly, that should also be lower in the beginning part of your cycle, but it increases as you move along in your follicular phase. And as you get closer towards ovulation, your estrogen will also start to rise. And these are hormones that are shifting throughout your cycle based on what it wants your body to do. So what we're trying to recognize and understand is, when is that LH peaking that's going to send the signal to your ovaries to release the egg from the follicle. And that's the big ovulation timing that we're trying to hit. And that's how we start to figure out where our fertile window is. Now, your body gives you cues to tell you what's going on, which is wonderful, because if we're listening and paying attention to our body, then we can know when our hormones are shifting, when our fertile window door is opening, so to speak, and when it's closing, right? And if you recall, in the beginning of this video, I said we've got about a 6 to 7 day window of time where that's what our fertility window is. Well, that's what we're trying to hit, and that's what we're trying to maximize, so we can have more intercourse during that window and maximize our chance for the sperm and egg to meet during or right after ovulation and to have fertilization. So that's what you're trying to determine throughout this entire menstrual cycle, is where you're ovulating, where your fertile window is. Again, that 6 or 7 day window of time. And then that tells you how to time intercourse appropriately. And as I was just saying, our body gives us cues. It tells us what's going on. And one of the most valuable cues that the body gives us is a change in cervical mucus, right? So your cervical mucus will shift and start to adjust as you get closer to ovulation. It can have different qualities throughout a whole cycle, but what we're really looking for is what's called that egg white cervical mucus, what looks like raw egg white, sticky, stretchy, clear mucus that you discharge from the vagina. Now, this is what you're looking for. Now, you don't always have an abundant amount of it, right? So sometimes you do have to check, and it becomes a little bit more tricky to check because it's not just going to be on your underwear. And so the most valuable way to check that is going to be inserting a finger or two into the vagina to get some fluid out. And then you can check it to start to see, what does that cervical mucus look like? Now, if you are having low cervical mucus and you can't easily find it, or intercourse is a little bit more uncomfortable because you're having low cervical mucus, then I do recommend using lubricant. I only have one, that's right, one fertility-friendly lubricant that I love and trust, and that one is Baby Dance. Now, Baby Dance is paraben-free, so it means no chemicals. It's a water base, and more importantly, it's safe for the sperm and actually helps the sperm get to where it needs to be. So this is my recommended choice if you need it. Again, if you want more information on this, I will leave a link in the description below so you can check out more information on Baby Dance. There are a lot of different tools that you can utilize to help you figure out what your hormones are doing throughout the cycle, what your body is doing throughout the cycle, and when you're ovulating. And all of those things are important for all the reasons I just mentioned, right? Most of which is being able to time intercourse appropriately so that it lines up with ovulation. So the first tool that you all may have heard of is what's called basal body temperature charting, right? BBT. That's when you take your basal temperature first thing in the morning when you wake up, before you move, before you do anything. You take your temperature, you start to track your temperature throughout a cycle, and you're hopefully looking for shifts that will tell you when you have ovulated or when you're about to ovulate. Now, BBT is kind of like a foundational thing. It's a great thing to do, but it can be stressful because, one, you can't wake up and get going and then test. You've got to stay still when you wake up. There's a lot of variabilities to it in terms of the length of time of your sleeping, temperature in the room, are you a mouth breather or not? All of these things impact the accuracy of the temperature reading that you're going to get. And so this can impact the information you're going to get and how you translate that information. Now, I'm not saying that basal body temperature charting is not valuable. It certainly is, but it can be a bit stressful, I have found, for women to track for a lot of reasons, one of which is really just like, now I've got to track this every day and I've got to be really on top of it. So that can be challenging. We want to make it easier for you. So if you've been doing basal temperature charting and you're still not sure what it's telling you and what the information means and how to read it, then I want to give you a new tool that does make it, I think, a little bit easier for you to track your cycles, track your hormones, and track your ovulation more specifically. Before I do that, I do want to mention one thing. I know many of you are using what's called an OPK, Ovulation Predictor Kit, and this is a urine-based test that will tell you when your LH, your luteinizing hormone, is starting to rise, right? Now, in principle, this should be accurate. What I have found is that it's not the most accurate and trustworthy. What often happens for many of us when we use those simple pee sticks is that they are calibrated for a general woman with regular hormones. So your LH might not surge high enough to trigger it, or you might need a higher LH for you specifically to actually release the egg, but the kit is going to tell you that you're ovulating when you're actually not. And so it's not the most reliable as well for all of you. And it's often difficult to read because you're looking at the lines, right? So I do think that it can be helpful in some instances, but I want to find something that's more reliable and also easier for all of you across the board. And that's why I've started to look at the OVERQ. This is a wireless fertility monitor, okay, that is not tracking LH specifically. It's tracking the changes in your vaginal and salivary moisture and mucus. Now, the OVERQ is actually not new. It's been around for several decades, and it uses a different type of technology, as I just mentioned, to actually track the electrolytes in the saliva and the vaginal mucus. That's right, the electrolytes, which is very different, but very reliable. And these electrolytes change to signal that the hormones are shifting as we get closer to ovulation. So it's able to give you a bigger window of time, which is what we want, as opposed to that exact day when you're ovulating. It gives you a bigger window of time, upwards of 7 days, to tell you that you're about to get close to ovulation. And that's helpful for all of you because you can start to time intercourse a little bit more appropriately. So what is it actually? How do you use it? So the nice thing is that the new update to the OVERQ is a wireless technology that has two sensors, one for the saliva and one for the vagina. And the salivary one and the vaginal one send a signal through a Bluetooth connection to the app on your phone that will help track both of these fluids and, more importantly, the changes in the electrolytes in the fluids to start to tell you when you're getting close to ovulation. Unlike basal temperature that has to be taken at a certain time of the day, right, which is right in the morning, and that you can't move around, these sensors can actually be used anytime during the day, although we do want them to be done at the same time every day. And it only takes a couple of seconds to read, and then you don't have to do anything else because all that information is going to be sent to the app wirelessly to then be translated and interpreted and then give you the information that you need. The other beautiful thing about it is you don't have to purchase anything else. Once you purchase the device and you have the app, then you don't need to purchase anything else. There's no strips that you have to constantly be purchasing to track. It's basically a one-time purchase and you have everything you need to track your ovulation. Now, I do want to be clear, it's not tracking these specific hormones. So it's not going to give you an LH reading. It's not going to give you an FSH reading. It's not going to give you an estradiol reading or a progesterone reading. But it is going to give you a more accurate window for timing intercourse because it tells you where you're going to be ovulating, and so that you can track that a little bit more accurately and time intercourse more appropriately. The other thing that I find really valuable about the OVERQ is that you can use this whether you have a regular cycle or an irregular cycle. It's tracking the changes in your saliva and vaginal mucus or cervical mucus, so it's not dependent on having a regular cycle. It's going to be tracking what you need and what your body is doing, which is also a wonderful thing. So many of you send me the same exact question. If I have a regular cycle, does that mean I'm ovulating? For the most part, the answer is yes, but you might not know where you're ovulating or know if it's shifting from cycle to cycle. And that's the other benefit of the OVERQ, is that's gonna help give you that window and make it easier to have intercourse at the right time. As I mentioned previously, the OVERQ does link wirelessly to an app, which is called the OVERQ. The OVERQ is the companion app for this to help track your salivary mucus and your cervical mucus so that you can see the shifts throughout and know when your fertile window is occurring. And on top of it, they have wonderful customer support. So any questions you have, they have a dedicated team lined up to answer your questions, help you interpret your graph, and make it easier for you to know where your fertile window is. I'm sure many of you are wondering how much it costs. Well, the price is $229, but remember, it is a one-time price. So I'm gonna put the link in the description below if you want more information, if you want to learn more about it, to make that easier for you. And hold on, everybody, I've got a special announcement for all of you. So I'm really excited to share with all of you that I've partnered with Fairhaven Health to give away one of these amazing OVERQ devices and a few other fertility-friendly and helpful products to help you on your fertility journey. To participate, I want you to go to the Instagram post that I'm linking in the description below so that you know how you need to qualify and enter to win this amazing device. And on top of it, I am also throwing in, to be part of this giveaway, a scholarship to my online program called the Positive Pregnancy Method. So you get all of that as part of this giveaway, and I want to make sure you all enter to win. Again, go to my Instagram post. The link is in the description below to know how to qualify. If you've been trying for longer than you like and you're tired of doing this alone, then I want to remind you that my Hope Fertility Coaching Program is open for enrollment. I'm here and my team are here to support you on your fertility journeys, whether it's to help you understand your hormones better, to help you understand where your fertile window is more appropriately, or to help you create a customized plan based on all of that information and put it together so that you have the right path moving forward. My Hope Fertility Coaching Program is ideal for you. If you want to apply to qualify, then I want to invite you to use the link in the description below. Have you been trying too long on your fertility journey? Are you tired of doing it alone and not knowing how to move forward and what the right path is for you? Then my Hope Fertility Coaching Program might be the right fit. And it is open for enrollment right now, but you do have to apply to see if you qualify. I want to invite you to apply if you want more support and a customized plan to get you the results that you deserve. All you have to do is use the link in the description below to apply. All right, everyone, did you like this video? I want to hear from you. Comment below and let me know. I also want to invite you, if you're not already a subscriber to my YouTube channel, to subscribe. So hit that bell right there to subscribe and get notified when I put out a new video as well. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And remember, I'll see you in the next video. Stay fertile.